Hey guys, welcome to Indie Game Hustle. My name is Charles, and in this video, we're going to add another mechanic to our player. Now, what I've already done is actually added that mechanic off screen, but I am going to walk you through all the different components. I've added a swim, or I've done a swim video before, and it kind of is pretty much the same thing, but I've made a couple of different changes with this one, and we'll take a look at those here in a second. To take a look at our scene, I've added some additional things. I have a blue cube here that has a material on it that is basically blue. It's transparent, and this is under the universal render pipeline lit. And all you would have to do is make this blending mode to transparent, alpha, change your color, and reduce the alpha here. Okay, and then you'll get some type of transparent coloring there. Of course, you want to build out your scene. This is nothing really but a few blocks here, and we have this block as well. Now this particular mesh is going to be solid as opposed to a trigger, and also it's going to be tagged as swim or swim water. All right, and another thing we want to do is here where it says layer, we want to set it as water layer, and I'll show you why in a moment here. All right, and that's a little different than my last video. I have approached this one a little differently. All right, so let me give you guys an idea of what it's going to look like right off the gate. All right, great. So of course we've created multiple mechanics so far. We're running and jumping and double jumping. We also can crawl, and we can crawl faster. We can pick up objects as needed. This is a heavier object, that's why I'm moving slower. This is a lighter object, so I'm going to be able to run with this object as well. All right, great. And we can crawl underneath this, of course, if necessary. But that's going to take a while, so it's really slow, which is meant to be. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump over that. All right, great. So this is what the swim looks like. So we've got our little guy swimming, and now he has a little bit of hover mechanic there, and he's swimming. And he can move faster. If we want to do that, we might turn that off. But for the most part, it looks great. And of course, when he gets out the water, everything returns to normal. And we have some other things we're going to have to make some slight changes to, but I just want to give you a look at what we are about to accomplish. All right, so let's take a look at what we did. All right, so the first thing, keeping with just being consistent in everything that we're doing, the first thing I did is in my mechanics, I just created a trigger, and it's actually not a full trigger. This is really an empty game object, and I named it trigger swim. Now within this swim, I created two triggers, one for entering the water and one for exiting the water, okay? And it's really easy. So the first trigger is going to be pretty simple. On tag enter, we're going to select the tag swim, and then there's going to be a set of actions to take, all right? So I'm going to select the actions. The first action is swimming to true. Now, I've said this in my other video, we do not need a variable, but it's good to have it just in case you need to somehow keep track of whether or not you're swimming or not, you know? So I'm going to do that. And of course, if you follow along, you know you can create variables here, and you would go ahead and do that, okay? All right. So the next thing we're looking at is the player controllable? Of course, we want the player controllable. We don't necessarily have to add this, but I tend to do it just to confirm, yes, the player should be controllable. And remember, this is when you touch the water, we're basically touching the water, and we're going to be removing or adding things based on the need. All right. Next thing, gravity. We're going to be removing gravity from the player by -5. This may or may not be necessary in this way that I've implemented it, and I'll show you here. But you can just go ahead and set that. It's not going to change or hurt anything. We also have a max fall speed to negative 0.4. We have our player can jump to turned off, so to false. We have our player state here, and our player state is going to be a local motion state. Okay, so I'm going to click this and take a look at it. So I'm going to click on that swim state. So I created a locomotion state, and in that locomotion state I have the male swim animation going, and then I also have a swim treading water. Now the swim treading water, I got this actually from Mixamo.com. So you want to go over there and download a swimming animation or a treading animation. And I do have other videos that kind of show how to use Mixamo and how to prepare your files for that. And of course, here I set move, the male move swim to all of these. And then for the walk forward, I have the female move swim, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then for walk left, walk forward, those here, I have that set to male move swim. And I could actually move the female to all of these, but I'll show you what that looks like here in a moment. All right, great. Pretty simple, straightforward, right? We've done this already. All right, so once you change the state, I'm gonna set the head IK to off. And you don't actually have to do this, but I do this so that it doesn't interfere with anything in the water while we're moving around. And then I set the move speed to 2.25. That's so that we can get a feel like we're in the water when we're moving around. And then we change the player's height to 1. And then here, we're going to set active the exit tag and inactive the enter tag. The trigger. So basically, you see how we have these? We're basically setting 1 to be active and 1 to be on and off. Okay, pretty straightforward. We've done this before, so if anything, you can pause the video and just kind of look at this as I go and just set up all your actions and everything the same way that I have them. All right, so now let's take a look at the trigger exit. So this one's here, tag exit swim. So you want to just go ahead and do that. And then we're going to head over to actions. And here we're going to now set the bool to be false because we're no longer in the water. We're going to change the gravity back to the standard at negative 9.81. We're going to change our max fall speed back to negative 100. Can jump to jump. Set run back to standard 4. Controllable, of course, we're going to continue to be controllable there. Our player state, we're going to reset it. And then we're going to set inactive the exit tag and active the enter tag or the enter triggers. Okay. All right. And just to take a look at that, there's another thing I wanted to do, but let's just again take a look at everything that we just said there and see the result. All right, boom. So now we're in the water. And as you can see, when we're in the water, I'm going to select actions. Basically, the state is going to be our swim state. So we're just going to set it up just like so. And it's actually pretty easy. A lot of these things, like gravity, max fall speed, you may be able to remove those. And that's really based on my last tutorial where I actually had the player fall into the water, and then you had to hit the space bar to kind of float back up to the top. But for this one, I wanted the player to kind of sit right on the top of the mesh and make it look like they're treading the water. So using the state locomotion gives me that ability. There's other ways to go about it, but this is one of the main ways that I decided to approach this for this project at least. All right, now let's see here. Another thing I noticed that you see down below, there's a cube there, and that cube fell through the water because of gravity. But because this box actually has no trigger. It's actually a piece of solid. Let me show you. Let's see if this works. I think this box is not set, so let's move it. So if you notice, this box right here is sitting on the water, and that box fell into the water. And if we really look at it for what it is that this mesh, the box mesh or this cube, is sitting on top of another cube. And the reason that is because I am also just changing the animation of the player. So looks like he's walking or swimming in water, but really he's just walking and his animations have changed. So how do we get this cube to fall through a solid mesh that isn't set to trigger? So the way we are going to approach this is, if you look at this box and you look at the top right where it says layer, I have it set to objects. Now, I'm not going to say that this is the best way to approach it, but this is just kind of how I approached it just for the time being. So I set this to objects, and then I went into my project settings, and I went into physics, and I went down, and these are basically our layer collision matrix. And so what I wanted was any object, or I wanted the objects that were with water, I wanted those not to be colliding with water. So basically, let's see here. So you see how it says objects? So if you look at objects here and you go down to water, we want that not to be checked. So you just simply uncheck it. And so that gives us that effect. Now keep in mind though, now all the boxes need to be set that way. So now this object needs to be set as objects for this to work. Because if, for instance, we're the player and we decide that we want to have a little fun and we want to drop this box in the water, we don't want it to just sit on the top, right? And as you can see, he's walking on the water, and that's because we need to make some changes. All right, so let me show you that really quick. So the issue that we just saw was, why was he walking on the water? All right, and same thing, if I hit the control key, why is he able to now crawl on top of this, right? And of course, like I told you before, this is really just a solid cube, and we're given the impression that he's swimming through water. And there, again, like I said, there's probably other ways to approach it, but this is how we're going to go about it. So the first thing we want to do is, when we're in the water, we've already done this multiple times, and what we're going to do is disable a few things. Okay, so what we do want to do is disable the ability to crawl. So what I'm going to do is go to action. I'm going to go set active. And then I'm going to take the crawl action. I'm going to pop that guy in here, and we're going to deactivate it. And then in the exit, I'm just going to simply turn it back on. All right. So that was pretty easy. Another thing we might want to do is, maybe we want to turn off the run. Maybe we don't want to swim faster. So we could disable that. I think I'm going to leave that on for now, because I think I'm just going to leave that on for now. And so another thing we notice is that we don't want to be able to pick up objects when we're in the water. Okay, but another thing we might want to do is actually detach anything that's in our hands when we touch the water. And so there's a couple different things we need to think about. So the first one is, I'm going to set active, and I do not want to be able to pick up an object when I'm in the water, either large or small. So I'm going to turn those off. And then I'm going to go into, actually, I'm on the exit, so let's do the reverse. So I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to go into enter, and I don't want to do those. So I'm going to go off and off, pick up small, pick up large. All right, cool. So when we're entering, we don't want to be able to pick up. And when we're exiting, we want to be able to pick up. But something else we might want to be able to do, so if we have this in our hands, we don't want that in our hands anymore. So what I can probably do is detach an item from our hands. So let's see if this works. I've never done this before. So we're going to go player, detach, right hand. So anything that's in their right hand, we're going to detach. Okay. All right. And we might need to change this because we might use a weapon. So, and that's going to be for the melee portion. So let's just use this for now, right hand. So I'm going to hit play and let's see what happens. All right, great. All right, so let's go ahead and get over here. All right, so the first thing we want to do is just jump in the water, and everything looks like it's working as it should. If I try to crawl, he can't crawl, he can't jump. All right, good, perfect. And when we get out the water, we get out the water. All right, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and pick up this object. And what we hope that happens is that it falls off when we hit the water. And it did not detach. So we need to figure out why that is not working. So let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look at that. All right, so let's take a look at this. I got the actions. Oh, right, we're on Exit tag. Let's see here. What we want is we want this to be on enter. So let's see here. So I'm gonna paste this here, detach, and I'm gonna remove this here, detach as well. I'm gonna remove that from the exit and only put it on the enter. So that should work. So let's try it again. All right, so I'm gonna jump over this. And I think once we actually start working in like level design stuff, I think I'm obviously gonna have to change like jumping and how high it can jump, that sort of thing. So, all right, so we wanna pick that up. And as soon as we hit the water, it looks like it is no longer attached, which is great. However, it is also floating in the air, and so that's not what we want. So we need to find out why that is the case. And just to make sure, I'm pretty sure the box has gravity. Oh, look at that. So it detached it, but we were still in the state of carrying it. So let's work on that. Just a second. All right, so because of that issue, what we may have to do is, because it still thinks that we have something in our hands, so what we're gonna have to do is put down the object. And the only way to really, I guess, trigger the put down action is actually run that. So I'm gonna do actions, and let's see if we can just run a set of actions. I think we can. We can execute actions. And let's see here, we have the pickup, we got small, and then we have pick up, we want putting down. So we want to run these actions. So I'm going to drop these actions into here, and all this is doing is executing these sets of actions. That's all that does. And so I'm going to put it to wait to finish just because we'll see if that works. All right, so hopefully that works here. And I think I'm in the wrong thing here. Hold on. Put down. Yeah, I'm in the wrong thing. What we want to do is actually be here in the enter, and we want to execute put down. So we don't need that. We don't need to detach anymore. Instead, we want to execute some actions, and I'm going to take this put down action here and run it just like that. Let's see if hopefully that works. We'll see. if that works. He might even play the animation too, so that's fine. Let's see. All right, so if we go in the water, right, and it does that, but it also plays, it does all of that. So what we're doing is also running those same actions over and over again. So we just got to logically think that through. So instead of doing this, we might have to create our own set of actions specifically to deal with this. All right, so just a second. All right, so what we'll do, instead of one by one, I'm going to copy and paste these actions. So I'm going to copy, or Control D, actually Control D. I'm going to take these actions and bring them down to the enter action. And this is going to be an action, let's call it remove. And there's a few things in here we probably don't need. Let's see here. We need players controllable. So when we're entering, we don't want to deal with that. We don't want to play an animation either. We don't need to have a wait. We do want to assign bool carrying as false. We need to detach the item. We can wait a second. We can add these variables to the object so that it will fall with gravity. We don't want to reset the player. We want the player to be controllable, and we want to set crawl to, no, we don't need that. So this should get the job done, maybe. So let's just see how that works. So now in actions, what I'm going to do is have this play a set of actions again. And we're just going to do remove right there. And let's see if that works. If that doesn't work, I don't know how to fix it. No, let's see. All right. All right. So come on, little guy, pick up the box. There we go. Now you get in the water. Good. There we go. And it falls to the water. Great. And everything works just like it's supposed to. Nice. Woo. All right. Great. And that's pretty much how that works. So that worked out pretty good. Let's just take a look at those actions again. And the reason I want to take a look is because I don't want it to be dependent upon what type of item. So because I don't want to put multiple one of these on here. So it shouldn't matter what it is. And the good thing is we did is carrying as general. So if you're carrying anything, it doesn't matter what you're carrying. And we do that. And we did that. And did that. Everything works pretty good. So that works great. All right, cool. All right, great. Well, I think that's going to call it for this video. So we have our guy doing everything we need him to do, and we're just slowly building up his ability to navigate the world that we're going to create. Cool. All right, well, I'll see you guys in the next video. All right. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. For the next set of videos, I'll be releasing one every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So to stay up to date on the latest 3D platforming tutorial, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support, you can find me on Patreon, or of course you can hit me up on Discord. I like to talk about whatever project you guys are working on. Of course, thanks for hanging with me. Your support is always appreciated. As always, remember, never give up and keep moving forward. Peace.